Welcome to another episode of Tech Nigeria FM. I'm happy to be here today because I have a powerful person among us that's going to be discussing about AI today. Uh, we'll be talking today about Africa and AI. Are we building or we're just consuming? Uh, with the way world is now, it's actually moving fast, and AI is reshaping a lot of things from finance, healthcare, education, media, a lot of things. But where exactly does Africa, because we're bringing it back home now, where,
Yeah.
where does Africa sit in this shift? Are we actually training models? Are we owning infrastructure? Are there innovation around it? Or we are primarily a user that is using all this AI? And to help us unpack this today, I'm joined by Jessica. Jessica has been someone that I've known for quite numbers of years now. Um, she is a senior machine learning data analyst at Amazon. Today, we'll be talking about AI, Africa, if we're actually building or we are consuming. Jessica, welcome to Tech Nigeria FM today. We're happy to have you on board today.
Thank you so much for having me, Babatine. I'm really excited to be part of this conversation. I think the reason why I'm excited is because honestly, I think is one that we need to be having loudly and consistently. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. We'll go straight into it. Africa, with the way things are now, I can see a lot of African startups that are actually leveraging on AI here and there, even though I think recently, if not a few days ago, uh, I read about the news about one company that is laying off almost four, if not four, I think 4,000 or 6,000
Oh,
staffs. And with the way things are going now, I just want to us to discuss about is we will talk about the impact, right? But in Africa context now, where does AI
Stan.
ecosystem stand?
Oh.
Yes, in Africa. Yeah.
So well, I didn't introduce myself fully, but that's fine. We can do that. We can do that
Please,
later.
please introduce yourself, please.
Okay, so I'll just tell you guys a little bit about me. Because I didn't really have always not been in AI. I pivoted, or I don't like using the word pivot anymore. But yeah, so a bit about me. Like Babatunde said, I'm currently a senior machine learning specialist at Amazon, which is based in the UK, and I work on lots of production scale AI system. But here's the thing: before all that, I used to my journey into AI started way back from Nigeria. I've worked in the telecom sector, trade sector, in government sector, where I met Babatundes, over 10 years now or more.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in that organization with a lot of data, communications, and stakeholder management. And we were using data at that time to secure funding, track employment outcomes, support SMEs as well. So in a way, data has always been there. But even before I formally called it data science, because I went back to school, got a master's degree in artificial intelligence and data science at Keele University. I think for me, what that program I think what that program did for me, it kind of gave me that technical knowledge, and framework to match the real world experience that I already had, and things kind of moved on quickly from there. So anytime I'm always asked, I always say that AI was how I got into AI was through people, through policies, and and through problem solving, and that is where technology kind of came second, and I think that's actually a very African way of entering into the space. It's not always about the strength, it's but also not about weakness as well. And then back to what you asked me, where Africa really stand in the global AI ecosystem.
Yeah.
So when we ask where Africans stand in the global AI ecosystem, I think we need to be honest and but also balanced. The truth is, for me personally, I would say Africa is largely a consumer of AI right now and not a producer. And we have like major foundational models, the GPTs, the Geminis, the Claude, they're all being built in Silicon Valley, in London, here in Beijing, and Africa is not yet on that table, and in a significant way, but I still also believe that what is also true is that Africa has like the largest growing digital population in the world, and we have extraordinary mobile first innovation happening in the continent. You have, like in Nigeria, for example, we have countries like Kenya as well, Rwanda, we have South Africa, they are producing incredibly tech talents, and that's where we also came from as well,
Yeah, that's true.
and the continent holds, some of the world's most complex and unsolved problem, which, if you ask me, is actually a perfect, like, proving ground for applied AI. So if we are not, so in a way, we are not going to be starting from, from zero, but we are going to have to start from behind, and that's where the gap is. The gap is widening every day with things coming up every day. There's always something new. So if we do not act, with more urgency and with more strategy, that is where we're going to be left behind. So that conversation cannot just be about the us having the access to the AI tools, which is what we are currently doing now. We are consuming those AI tools. It has to be about that ownership, that infrastructure and that agency. That's what I think we are.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like you rightly mentioned, I think even though we have the data, uh,
Yeah.
right, but creating that particular atmosphere, environment for us, I'm not sure we are there yet, like you rightly mentioned, but I think we need to improve on that. And
Yeah.
we will still talk about what do you think that government can actually do to help.
Okay.
There are a couple of companies that are building solutions on top of the AI. I
Yeah.
have few ones. Even personally, I'm doing something that I'm leveraging on AI, but like rightly mentioned, we just need to improve on that, not to just be consuming alone. Uh,
Yeah.
for our own data, actually, for our own data to be
Exactly.
out there, to be
Yes.
out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you so much for that.
Thank
The other
you.
question that I have is that why most AI systems fail Africa context, because I
Mm.
think when you try to do some, like try to use some ChatGPT to
Mm-hmm.
research some things regarding Africa, I think
Yeah.
you might be getting some funny
I'm telling
out,
you, I
right?
I work
So
in this space and I see it on a daily basis. Even I have one at home now whereby sometimes my accent alone is a problem because of how it's been programmed. So this is like something I feel quite strongly about, and it connects directly, to the work that I do, And I would say that most AI systems fail fail African context for several reasons, but majorly because they were never designed for African context in mind.
mm,
It might be changing now, evolving now, but they were never designed with African context in mind. And full stop, I'll just put it like that. And these models, they are trained on data that largely reflect Western demography, Western language, Western patterns, Western behavior. Like I told you about my accent. So, comes out sometimes I'm trying like, no, this is not what I said, and I'm like, no, so we're arguing, so, when you deploy them in Lagos, maybe in Nairobi or Accra or anywhere in Africa, you start to see the cracks very quickly. Now, I'll give you a simple example. So, NLP, for those that are not in tech, is like natural language processing. So many of our mostly widely language and dialect are, very severely underrepresented in training data. Like you have Pidgin English, Yoruba, Igbo, other countries, Swahili. This language are spoken by hundreds of millions of people, but they are barely registered in our like data sets, that used to power these global models. and that's just most one of the problem. This infrastructure, and that is where that infrastructure discussion we're talking about coming. If something we can do something about it in Africa, so AI assumes reliable internet, consistent power, talking about the digital payment rails. A lot of these continents still doesn't even have most of this as baseline. So even when the model technically work, the environment needs to function for it to work, and sometimes it doesn't exist. And lastly, I would say that then let's talk about cultural context, for example. So
Okay.
you have AI system, that make assumption about how people behave, what they value, how they make decisions, and a lot of these assumptions simply don't map up on the African reality. This result is how would I put it now? I would say that the result is like a tool, that it feels chunky, but it's kind of irrelevant. The result that you get sometimes is irrelevant, or it can even be harmful when you apply it to our own African community. So I feel like if we can work on that infrastructure whereby we can, train data sets for the African context, then it will stop failing. But right now, that is why most AI systems fail the African context.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, you're right actually. Like I've experienced it several times while working with ChatGPT a lot, a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
really I've experienced it. Even when you're even trying to do like a deep research, right?
Yeah.
You still be having some all these issue with Africa related data.
Yeah.
But just to follow up to that question, um, do you think startups should be looking into that particular aspect, not just be building on top of the existing model that we have? I mean, do you think Nigerian startup or African startup can leverage by incorporating this African data by training them more so that when we're actually doing some data searching and the likes based on African
Yeah.
context, we can as well have correct data that is going to be returned back to us. What do you think
Yes.
in that?
Yes, I think so. Like it's something that I'm still doing research on it for my own personal consumption, just to figure out if there are like any training, like in training of data or models in that this thing. But what I feel like startups right now, we need to stop building for foreign validation,
Mm,
and we need to start building for African problem at an African scale. There are too many founders that are optimizing for Silicon Valley investors. For I'm being honest.
yes, yes,
Venture capitalists. Everybody's pitching to get a Series A fundings and all that, which is good. But you could get that funding and still do the job like what you want to do in Africa as well. So you have people optimizing for Silicon Valley investor pitch, rather than the real traction on the continent. I would say like the most valuable AI tool for Africa will be built by people who deeply understand the African markets, the
yes,
African language, the user behavior. That is where you have the competitive advantage that we need to use.
yeah,
If you're talking about our government need to stop treating AI as a PR executive at this point. Every country, every country wants like an AI strategy on paper, but where's the investment? Where's the investment in computational infrastructure? What are the data protection framework that actually work? I'm really getting into data governance, and there's a lot. I don't want to talk about Africa in that part, but like really, where's the data protection framework that actually work? Where's public funding for AI research at African University?
mm,
If you want to go to that conversation, regulation matters as well too, but it has to be enabling, not just restrictive. That's what I would say. But we need to get the foundation right as well. you know and if I want to touch about, maybe based on the fact that we two are like diaspora in a way,
yeah,
I would say that um this is, I don't know how to put it, but we have also the responsibility, like we have a responsibility that goes beyond just remittance and occasional mentorship sessions. We need to actively start bridging that gap, bringing back knowledge, transferring knowledge as well, investing in African startup, um, advocating in rooms, just like how I really like. Before now, I've watched a few of your sessions, like the Tech Ninja session, and I can see what you're doing, which is advocating, doing a lot of advocating in sense of, related to tech for people back home, giving
Yes.
them understanding. So that's one of the things, and your diaspora as well. So that you're already on the right path, but we need more people, to start speaking, to do that, advocate in rooms where AI is being made, create pathways for talent, in the continent to have that access to, global opportunities. We are kind of we are positioned at an incredible intersection right now, and I feel like we shouldn't waste it. You know.
Mm, that's true. And I think uh, one of the things that our country back home, Nigeria,
Yeah.
to be precise, there was a time that I read that they want to invest more
Okay.
into tech, but I'm not really sure. Maybe they want to go into AI because that's what is actually moving now. And
Yeah.
any country that is lacking there, not even startup, any country that is lacking there is actually lacking great thing. So I
Yeah.
think based on based on what you mentioned, right? What can government do to start up? Like, what can government do to start up differently as regards AI? What do you think they can actually do? Maybe in terms of policy, maybe in terms of environment. What do you think they can do just to support startups, just to support the environment that they are actually using to build something regarding AI, models, data, and the likes?
So I think is they need to put. I think there's a word that says you need to put your hand, or how they say, put your hand where your mouth is, or something like that. There's a lot of PR going on for AI, but is it actually happening? So which is what I said like previously. It's more like an AI PR executive, not like I haven't really seen anything. Maybe a few trickles here and there, but I feel like we need to go back to the root cause. I don't know if it's a root cause yet, but we need to get the foundation right. So for governments, first of all, there needs to be investment in that computational infrastructure for AI. So if you want to be in that space, whereby we're not talking about Silicon Valley, London, Beijing, Africa as well, we need to start doing that. We need to invest largely in computational infrastructure. We need to invest in data protection, not just, all the way to data protection framework, because right now it doesn't really work. Public funding for AI research, we need to do a lot of, there are like lots of intelligent people willing to do the research, but where's the funding? We're in the university, where's the funding? Do they even teach about AI, artificial intelligence, in schools right now? Are there courses related to that in school right now? I came to the UK to learn about AI and data science, so um, funding has to go into it. Research has to be there as well. The regulations also matter, it has to be enabling.
Yeah. Okay.
Not just, there was a time, we're having conversations whereby they were like, they wanted to ban social media. Yes, probably not really AI related, but when the entire world is moving in a certain direction, you need to also, be moving along that way too. So you need to be enabling, not restrictive. It doesn't necessarily have to fit the government narrative all the time, which is what, some certain people want as well.
Mm,
So that's what I feel like the government needs to do differently. We might be doing it now, but there's like a lot of vague conversation just on the table. It's just really vague, so we need to start taking ownership down from the highest level of government, and then it trickles down. And if we have like a framework, or that the government is saying, okay, this is what we want to do, and you have ministers in technology, even LSCTF, for example, they have a tech part, even in the government as well, in different states. There's always, the tech. So it will now trickle down, and then everybody will work with it, because we have like a goal where we say, okay, we want to now be part of, people contributing in this space. But right now we are more consumers, which is what we are having this conversation on, what we can do better as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think you've actually mentioned a lot of things that that government can do, like the role
Yeah.
of the government, uh, and the role at which the startup that are actually leverage on AI can also do. I have one other questions, because I know you are actually busy to just
No,
know.
I am, but I'm happy to talk about it. Something I'm passionate about, so I'm always happy to talk about it. So yeah, can crack
Thank,
on. Yeah,
thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm also looking at people back home, right? African
yeah.
engineers, people that are still in diaspora, not only people back home also. What do you think we should prioritize now if we're actually building AI? If we are, if we want to go into this AI fully as African in African context, what do you think the young engineer should actually prioritize today?
Right. So a young African that can position themselves now. I want to say first off, I want to end with something really practical and hopeful, because I genuinely believe that this is one of the most exciting moments for young African in tech.
Yes,
First of all, you need to build on your technical foundations.
yeah,
You don't need to go to university in the UK to do this. There are free and low cost resources that you can use: Coursera, deep learning AI. I did a lot of projects on Kaggle. There is DataCamp, there is Udemy. So you need to pick a lane first, and then you go deep. So first off, is it, what kind of skills do you want to build on? Is it Python? Is it SQL? Is it Java? Is it data analysis? These are kind of like the in demand skills right now. These are like accessible and they are in demand. Then secondly, I would say that maybe don't separate your domain expertise from your AI ambitions. So for example, if you understand agriculture, healthcare, finance, education, in that context is good. So for me right now, I'm merging both. So AI is there, but it can link with products, it can link with stakeholders. It just depends on how you work it. And an AI system, built by someone who understands the Nigerian health care system, for example, will always outperform anyone built by someone who doesn't.
yes,
So,
great.
your own lived experience is an asset. It's an asset. So wherever you are right now, you can build up on it. And there are a lot of tools right now to actually make it really faster for you. And then one of the things I learned late, and amongst my peers as well, we are coming to find out that we did, is that we were building, but we're building in private. You need to build in public. You need to share your projects. You need to share your thinking. You need to share your learning. So LinkedIn, whatever you're doing, you need to be posting about it. GitHub is there, to post your repository, share your code. There's podcast, like this one, for example. Visibility matters. Someone can pick it up from just doing a search, and then they're learning something because you are sharing. And then opportunity. Find people who are visible. There was one time I needed like funding for something, and the question that I was asked, was, where's my portfolio? And like, in terms of who could do this thing, even the CEO told me that you're like number one on our top of list, but for our marketing to back you up, we need to say portfolio. So I didn't really have what was it called? Like, I was building, but I wasn't building publicly. I was just doing it private. For example, this event, I would have just come for it. I wouldn't have posted it on a normal day. But I've learned to start, being public. So that's something that you need to do. And opportunity will always meet people who are visible.
Yeah,
And
that's
then the fourth thing I would say, which is very, very important, this is coming from, I'm sharing this from experience. You need to have a community. You need to find a community. There are incredible African AI community that you can join, and these are not just learning spaces, they are career launch pad, and they would, you are learning from your peers, you're learning from people that you can see as mentors, you're sharing problems. And if there's anything that, say for example, sometimes I've had friends that gotten jobs, six-figure jobs from a community.
Wow.
because they know this person knows this thing. This person has been building publicly. This
Yeah.
person has been sharing. So when there's an internal job in their organization, they are not looking outside. They're like, they are referring this person that they know. So community is very, very, very key. And then finally, I think about contribution and not just employment. The young Africans, who will matter most, in this AI era. I feel that they won't just be the ones that get the job done, like, and they may not necessarily be in the big tech companies. I feel like they will be the one that are building tools, the one that wrote research, the one that shaped policies, and the one that made sure that AI actually works for Africa, and we have everything that we need. Babatunde, if we are really being honest, if we're just using Lagos, Nigeria, for example, we have everything that we need. What we need now is just strategy, urgency. We have to believe that it's urgent, and then that belief that we belong at the frontier, with those
Yeah.
big leagues and not just at the edge of it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we have what we can, like you mentioned, but the other thing is, if we pick Lagos as a case study,
Mm-hmm.
even though there are a lot of things that we can leverage on that we can
Yeah,
get, but I think some kind of environment
the
would
environment.
not really help us, and that's why we talked about if government, right, can provide like a conducive environment where
Mm-hmm.
they can actually support AI. I
Yeah,
think we have the brain. Even some of the engineers, I have a lot of friends that are in Nigeria that are working remotely,
yeah,
that are even doing a lot of things on AI. If the environment is comfortable for them, I think they will actually build a lot of things in Nigeria rather
Nigeria.
than working remotely, because at the end you are still contributing to outside, not
Yes,
inside.
yes,
Not
exactly,
inside. Not
yes.
inside.
And
And I
there's
think,
one thing, sorry to cut you short,
yeah,
there's one thing I learned recently, and it was one of my mentors in the AI space. He always used to say it, and it got me thinking. He said that you should always think systems and not think tools. He said tools change quickly, but
yeah,
the system thinking endures. So whatever you're doing, just keep on thinking about systems. People that understand how intelligent systems are built, and governed, are the ones that would kind of stand out from just people that use the tools.
yeah, I
Mm,
agree. I
yeah.
agree because when you're talking about the skill and the tools the other time, like you can use Python, you can use,
Yeah.
knowing this thing fundamental is good, but things change fast. I think before this era of AI, a lot of people are using Java, PHP,
Yeah. C plus plus and the rest.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you notice now that what is actually reigning now is Python.
Yeah.
Before you hear it, Python this,
Yeah.
Python. So
Yeah.
even though you know Java, but you just be like, "Ah, people are saying Python. Why
Python.
I use
Yeah.
Python like this?" But
Yeah.
it's like you mentioned now, it's not about the tools, right? It's knowing the system. Java
Yeah.
can do anything also.
Yes.
There are
Yeah.
libraries that can actually incorporate and use to build a lot of things.
Yes.
But if you don't know the fundamental, that's the end.
That's
That's
true.
actually the end. That's
That's true.
actually the end. Thank you so much. The other question that I have, this one
Yeah.
is, we've talked about it really, but I want you to expatiate for that because you're actually in one of the biggest organizations in the world. So
Okay.
can Africa realistic build large scale AI infrastructure? Can we build?
Mhm.
Do you think we can build it?
It's a very deep question.
Yes.
So
Can we, do you think so from your own experience and
yeah,
exposure,
yeah.
right? Do you think we can build it? If there are factors, but if
Mm,
we have those factors like government backing us, policy backing us,
mm,
if we have those factors, do you think we can build it? And I'll give you a case study. Remember, there was a time that they shut down everything regarding cryptocurrency.
yeah,
There was a time they shut down everything regarding social media.
yeah.
So if they didn't do something like that and they're actually backing us up, I believe that a lot of things regarding cryptocurrency will have changed dramatically in Nigeria. But
True.
now AI is everything.
Yes.
I'm writing code, I'm using AI.
Mm-hmm.
In my key school, they're using AI. You will-
Mm-hmm.
so
So,
what do you
um,
think?
I think um I think this is even like the heart of this episode, like this title. Yeah, are we building, are we consuming? And if I'll give you my own personal honest opinion is that
Yes.
we are doing both, but it's not an equal measure. Um so, for example, there is like an extraordinary African talent in this space, which we've been discussing since. We see them every day. I see them every day, both in diaspora, both in people back home working remotely, in the research community. So, Africans are contributing to some of like the most advanced AI system in the world. But here is here's the uncomfortable truth. There is a lot of contribution that is happening from within other people, other companies, other people's vision, other people's products. So we are doing it too, but um it's for other, like you said, other people. So we have a good supporting um foundation to build on. We are very good at supporting the build.
Mm.
you know we are not yet leading the build at scale. So, and then the question is why. That's the question. It's not about talent gap. We have the talents.
Yeah, we have
you
to
know
tell it.
I think it is an opportunity gap.
Mm.
I think it is a funding gap, because when beginning of the year, when the government, they are giving the budget for the year and everything. I so for me it's three. It's infrastructure gap, funding gap, and the opportunity gap, because you need to be able to, the opportunity is in what we want to build. When you don't have access to, for example, I'm just making it as easy as possible, when you don't have access to computer resources, when you don't have access to venture capital that understands your markets, do you
Mhm.
get, when you don't have access to the policy, like to policy environment that will protect and nurture that innovation? Because you can start. A lot of people have come and have left and gone to other countries. I've left, for example, let's use Nigeria. Have been to Nigeria, left and gone to another country, because sometimes the policy does not help what they want to build. Do you get?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it is very hard to build foundational technology, very, very hard, because these things are not there. You don't have, sometimes the computer resources is missing. Sometimes you have that venture capital investment that understand what you even want to build. Then you don't have the policy that would even support, this policy environment that would, protect and nurture that innovation, which is like the major, major one. And it now leads to the question of, uh, you know, what can we do different? Or if we know where this problem is, how can we now start solving it? So to answer your question, I would say yes, Africans are talented, but talent without opportunity just becomes contribution.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we are just contributing to someone else's success story, and we need to change the condition, not just celebrate the talent.
Mm.
And that's just what it is.
Mm. You actually you mentioned a lot of things, which I believe that if we publish this episode and
Yeah.
uh, like top people are able to listen, maybe they can
Do
pick something
something about it.
about it,
Hmm.
because I think with the way things are going now, we just need to buckle up.
Yes,
Simply, we
we
just
do.
need to buckle up.
We do.
Things are moving fast, and we shouldn't be left behind. There should be funding
Shouldn't.
towards research, deep research regarding this particular aspect, which a lot of people can join. And I believe if we are able to still catch up, good for
Yeah.
us. But I think we have the funding. It's just uh, we don't want to.
I want to ask a question. Like, so it's a question that maybe when we're asking it, we can also like automatically have the answer.
Yes.
So if um for your last question I asked, so so we right now Africans, we are contributing to model research, annotation, evaluation, engineering globally. The question, like I always ask is that right back home in Africa, are we building core infrastructure? My answer is no. Like, are
Mhm.
we owning our data sets? The things we are trying to say, the things because I have this problem every morning, when I'm trying to work on different, like even at home here, even like you said, when you're conversing with GPT, there are some things that are just off. That's because we are not even owning our data sets. Are we training that foundational model locally, or are we setting those governance standards? So these are the questions for whoever that is going to listen, anybody that's in the high, that can do something. If you answer these 4 or 5 questions, then you know where to start from. So because we have the talent, but without that infrastructure,
Yeah.
often what is just going to happen is that it's just going to lead to exports, which is already happening. A lot of
Yes.
people are going to leave to go and see where they can, how they can contribute to the success of, like we discussed, success of another person's vision. You have um, we need to start having that ownership for infrastructure. So it's not just about providing the talented people. We need to start building those systems that will allow the talent to scale locally at the long run as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've actually touched a lot of things based on this particular question. I have one last question before we call it a wrap.
Okay.
Where can AI today
Hmm.
solve African problem? I mean, the core Africa problem today. Where can AI actually solve it? We have healthcare, we have agriculture, we have education. A lot of things are going into the fintech space. But African problem now, what do you think based on this AI? Which aspect of these sectors can we actually basically focus on?
Hmm.
Maybe it's going to solve that particular sector problem.
I will talk about it, but I will want to deep dive into it for certain reasons.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
That's fine.
so um, AI can solve a whole lot of. We have lots of, like I said, we have a lot of problems in Africa that, with the help of AI, can we can resolve so many of them. But for me, I would say security, and you said also, I think that's major one for me: security, health, even, how would I put it now? Those are like the two major things. If you if you have conversations um with people in the diaspora, people living, and they
Yeah,
tell you, oh, what's that thing that, why are you here, why haven't you gone back home? Those are the two things they will mention:
that's true.
security and the health. So, except maybe the government wants me to come up with like research paper for it. The reason why I don't want to discuss it so much is just because it's a very sensitive topic. But
Yeah,
I
it is.
believe that there's a lot of opportunities there, and if we're, like, for example, using our like, if we're training any AI locally based on our core problem, our pinpoint where we know this is where the issue is, then we will get the result that is focused on the African sector, not just the Western sector. Yes, in other Western world as well, there's security, there are also security issues, there are also health issues, but it's not a pain point as it is for those back in Africa. So I do not know if I answered the question, if that's what you want me to say,
Yeah,
but those are
that's
like.
fine. That's fine because I think recently a company in Nigeria got some funding from, I
Okay.
think, I didn't remember the name, but they are into drones, uh, just to help the security. I didn't remember the
Okay.
name of that startup, but I think they're actually doing something regarding the security
Oh.
in Nigeria. Yes. Even the CEO of Flutterwave invested, I didn't remember the amount, into that particular company.
Ah.
They're producing drones just to help the
Drones.
security. Yeah, you can actually read about it. So, but like you mentioned, security and health is one. there are major keys, right?
Keys, yeah,
Yeah, there are major keys. That even if you see anyone in this outside of Nigeria in diaspora,
yeah,
they will mention either of the two.
yeah.
Definitely either of the two. If not the two, but either of the
I
two.
love it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either of the two. Okay. Last one. You've been into this data of a thing. You've been working on it lately.
Yeah.
And you've gathered so much experience in this field. I don't know. There are possibility that people listening to this episode might want to connect with you. As you have a mentor that is actually holding your hands,
Yeah.
they might also want uh, to be learning from you, like just to mentor them, not to be like this is how you are going to write Python code. No.
Yeah.
But to just say, okay, I'm stuck here, and
Okay.
you've passed that particular issue
Yeah.
before. Just do this and this. I don't know if you're actually open because I do have those kind of people in my
Yeah.
team that actually need mentorship, but I'm not into this AI fully. I know
Yeah.
about it. I'm working on some stuff, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
But you are like someone that I've seen your work. So I don't know if you're open to those
Yeah,
kind
sure. Yeah.
of mentorship.
I don't mind picking up a few mentorship. It's just to create a structure around it that work for both of us. So I'm happy to it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Uh, if there is one last thing that you want to advise uh, people in Nigeria, people in Africa, and people in the world regarding this AI, what would that thing be?
Hmm.
Just one thing.
um I think I mentioned it, but I'll just uh, put them into like make one sentence with it. So everyone in the world, regarding where you are, right? There are, like I said, there are a few things that you need to do to stand up, to just stand out, like to just be exceptional, But since we're talking about AI today, so I'll kind of like bring it back to AI,
Yes.
which is um, try to do something different every day, even if it's just one goal, But I think what I'm trying to say is I have a structure of what I do. So, for example, I was advising this earlier on. If someone meets me, let's say I'm in an elevator and they're like, "Oh, I am into AI, blah blah blah," or let me not say blah blah blah. This is what I'm currently doing. What can I do differently, or what would you say? If you follow these 4 to 5 steps, you know, you might not do it every day, but as long as you're doing it, as long as you are building, as long as you are not separating, your AI your AI expertise or your domain expertise, what you're currently doing right now. Maybe you're not even in the space, but you're not separating it from, your AI ambition, you know, as long as you're building publicly, you are sharing your challenges, not just your wins. People think because sometimes from that your challenge that you get someone might pick an interest to say, okay, this is where you're getting stuck. This is how you can get out of it. So sometimes share your challenges as well. So keep on sharing, keep on building, find that community. It's very, very important. Find that community and find a way that you can contribute. It doesn't When I mean contribute, it doesn't have anything. It might be your time, but find a way to contribute. That's what I would say. And just be a good person. It always has a way to come back. There's always good deeds always find a way you know to come back to you. So in the space of AI, just keep on building, just keep on sharing, keep on follow the trend as well, see what's going on, because you don't want to be stuck. I was listening to a podcast today, this morning when I went for my run, and you know the AI is moving so fast that you
Yeah.
need to understand what's going on. So follow that trend, always know what's going on, but find that community. And my own closing thought is that if Africa, if we want a meaningful seat, at the AI table, then we cannot remain as passive consumers.
Yeah.
we cannot remain passive consumers of in quote global system. We must invest in the less visible layers, those things that people can't see, which is things we talked about: data infrastructure, validation, standards, governance. I'm very keen on that governance framework,
Yeah.
because where that is where the long-term competitive advantage is built. And AI leadership will not be decided by who uses the most tools. It's going to be decided by those who shape the foundations, basically.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for
Thank you for having
joining
me.
us today and for your
Yeah,
wonderful insight. I think we've talked a lot about this AI. The other thing, just for us to close it,
yeah,
you've mentioned it. Africa does not lack intelligence. We have it.
yeah,
Africa does not lack talent. We have it.
yeah.
What we must decide is whether we want to own this our own
On
system.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. If we are only consuming the AI, that means it's just like we rent the future. The future is not hard. But
yeah,
if we build it, that means we shape it. Uh,
yeah.
to everyone listening, the question still remains: are we building or are we just consuming? Until next time, my name remains Babatunde Senju. This is Tech Nigeria FM. Like I do tell you, keep building, keep innovating.
Yeah.
And this is another episode about AI. Just take your time, review some of these things that we've talked about. Until then, see you next time. Thank you everyone for joining.
See you. Bye.
Right.